Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Thought for Shabbat. It has been a challenging week in America with the leaked memo of the overturning of Roe versus Wade being proposed. There are legal and political consequences, to be sure. But actually, there's no more religious question than when does life begin? And I thought I might take a few minutes longer than 2 minutes today, but less than 5 minutes, to talk to you about what I believe is the Jewish view on abortion, so that we have a religious context from which to have these discussions and, if God forbid need, arguments. Because, as I said, the core of life is a religious issue. And so I want to begin by telling you that throughout the centuries, the Jewish faith has had an approach that life begins when the baby is born. And so they didn't necessarily know about viability back in the day, but they did understand that life in and of itself began when the baby reached the mother. I'd like to share some texts with you to help put this all into context for us as I begin my slides here. From the Torah, it says, "And if men are fighting with each other and hurt a woman with child, a pregnant woman, so that number one, she loses that child, or what we would call a fetus here, but she is unharmed, he shall surely be fined, as if the loss of the fetus, but not of the mother's life, was property that she lost. But if the woman dies, that is the pregnant woman, then the person shall give life for life, the penalty is death." In other words, as far back as the Torah, somebody who was pregnant certainly had growth inside of them, but it was not considered a full life. From the Mishnah or the Talmud, it says, if the life of a woman giving birth is endangered, but the unborn fetus is endangered rather by the unborn fetus, the fetus must be removed from the womb. Actually, we use a much more graphic term, must be removed from the womb, and removed for her life takes precedence over the fetus's life. If its greater part, head or body, has already come forth, it must not be touched, for the claim of one life is not greater than that of the other. That is, if you cannot take one's life for another when you're talking about human beings. But if it's a fetus and a mother, and the mother's life is in danger, then the mother's life takes precedence and you may abort the fetus. That's as far back as 2,000 years ago. From the Rambam, the Middle Ages, he says, this too is a mitzvah, not to take pity on the life of the pursuer being the fetus that's chasing the mother's life to do her harm. Therefore, the sages ruled that when a woman has difficulty in giving birth, one may dismember the child in her womb, either by drugs or by surgery, because he, that is the fetus, is like a pursuer seeking to kill her. And on the basis of self-defense, the mother can defend herself against that fetus. I know it's a graphic way to think about it, but this is the way they understood it. However, once the fetus's head has emerged, he may not be touched, for we do not set aside one life for another. This is the natural course of the world. From a rabbi in the 18th century, he said, abortion is to be permitted if it is necessary for the recuperation of the mother, even if there is no fear of the mother's dying as a result of the pregnancy, even if the mother's illness has not been directly caused by the fetus. So now we're talking about things beyond just physical harm to the mother. And finally, from 30 years ago, from our own reform movement, it says, we feel that the pattern of tradition until most recent generation has demonstrated a liberal approach to abortion and has definitely permitted it in cases of any danger to the mother. Clearly, we've seen that already. That danger may be physical or psychological. When this occurs at any time during the pregnancy, we would not hesitate to permit an abortion. This would also include cases of incest and rape if the mother wishes to have an abortion. We do not encourage abortion, nor favor it for trivial reasons, or sanction it on demand. The Reform movement says if there is psychological harm to the mother, that having this fetus become a life, and there's no way to take care of this life, or it is ill, or it's as a result of incest or rape, there's no reason psychologically to hurt the mother in that way, but rather to abort the fetus. And so, as has been said, Judaism has been one that says life begins when the baby is born. Now, there is argument to be made about viability and whatnot, but certainly in those many early stages of pregnancy, particularly as it's causing harm to the mother, psychologically or physically, according to our tradition, the mother has the right to abort the fetus, as ought to be codified in law during Roe v. Wade, and certainly in every other instance as we move forward, if we're taking it from a Jewish perspective. Certainly hope that this helps bring context to the conversation and that it will guide you in your conversations as you go forth. Take care. Have a great Shabbat. Please join us tonight at 6:30 for our family Shabbat service, or watch online. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.